All right, let's jump right into it. Today, we're diving deep into some awesome material from Boss Hill's IT Knowledge Bunker.
Oh yeah, Basil. Always a good time.
You know it. And their Giving IT Back theme, I love that. It's like we're
Hmm.
sitting in on a whole university lecture series on, well,
On why IT pros are just crushing it in the cloud world.
exactly. And they don't waste any time either. Slide one, boom, right there it is.
Why IT professionals excel in cloud computing.
Gotta love a title, it gets right to the point. But seriously, why do IT pros seem to have this natural edge in the cloud?
Years of experience, that's the key. Think about it, they've been managing complex systems forever, servers, networks, you name it.
Right, all that stuff, they've been handling it for years.
So when cloud computing came along, it wasn't like some huge, totally new thing.
Yeah, they already had the foundation.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to unpack here, how those traditional IT skills translate into being a cloud master.
Love it. Okay, slide two, and we're hitting a big one. Ensuring cloud resilience, disaster recovery.
Can't forget about disaster recovery.
Absolutely essential. Like, think of it like having a backup generator for your house.
Ooh, I like that.
Right, you might not need it often, but when you DO, you're so glad you have it.
For sure.
So, Basil breaks it down into 3 steps. First, designing those rock-solid disaster recovery plans. Then implementing DRILS, which stands for Disaster Recovery as a Service.
Got it.
And of course, constantly testing and tweaking everything to keep it all running smoothly. But what makes IT pros so good at this, specifically in the cloud?
Their experience in those traditional IT environments is huge here.
Uh.
I'm talking countless hours setting up redundant servers, figuring out failover mechanisms, becoming backup and restore masters.
Oh yeah, all that stuff.
And guess what? Those skills translate perfectly to building bulletproof cloud setups.
Yeah.
So instead of mirroring servers in a physical data center, now they're doing multi-region deployments in the cloud for that high availability.
So basically, they're taking what they know and applying it to this whole new cloud landscape.
Exactly. Which leads us right into slide 3, maintaining cloud health, monitoring and logging.
Got to keep an eye on things.
It's like a doctor checking a patient's vital signs. You need to constantly monitor the health of your cloud infrastructure.
Totally. We can't just set it and forget it. What are some of the tools they're using, both the traditional ones and the cloud-specific ones?
Okay, so on the traditional side, you've got your Nagios, great for server availability and performance. Then there's Splunk, that's a powerhouse for analyzing logs and spotting patterns.
Oh, the old reliable tool.
Yeah, and then there's SNMP, the protocol for network device monitoring. All these tools give you a deep understanding of what's going on in your systems.
Like a toolbox full of specialized diagnostic instruments.
Exactly. And IT pros can apply all that knowledge to cloud-native monitoring solutions like AWS CloudWatch, Azure Monitor, or GCP Operations Suite.
Right, those cloud-specific platforms.
Yeah, they provide a ton of data and insights specifically tailored for the cloud environment.
So they're not just reacting to problems, they're anticipating them.
You got it.
Okay, let's move on to slide 4, which focuses on holistic cloud security. Beyond cybersecurity. Sounds intense.
It is. Security in the cloud, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, we're not just talking firewalls and antivirus anymore, are we?
Nope. It's a much bigger picture now, encompassing identity access management, IAM, encryption, and compliance.
Right, IAM, encryption, compliance, big stuff. Can you unpack those a bit for us, and how do those traditional IT skills fit in?
Sure. So let's start with IAM, which is all about who has access to what in the cloud.
Who gets the keys to the kingdom, basically?
Yeah, and IT pros, they're already experts at managing user permissions and access controls from their on-premise days.
Makes sense.
So they can take that knowledge and build those super secure IAM policies in the cloud, making sure only the right people get access to the important stuff.
Very important. What about encryption?
Encryption is key for protecting data, whether it's moving around or just sitting there. IT folks know all about those encryption protocols and techniques, and they use that knowledge to implement some seriously strong encryption practices in the cloud. For example, making sure data stored in those S3 buckets is encrypted. Extra layer of protection.
Like putting it in an unbreakable safe.
Exactly. And then there's compliance.
Yes, compliance.
Super important, especially for industries like healthcare or finance, where there are all sorts of regulations.
Right, you gotta follow the rules.
And IT pros, they've always played a big role in making sure things are compliant, whether it's IPA or PCI DSS.
Yeah, those are big ones.
And that role continues in the cloud. They're making sure the cloud environments meet all the necessary security and compliance standards. They know all about auditing processes, security certifications, and best practices.
Sounds like a lot to juggle.
It is, but their experience and their diverse skill set make them perfect for the job. And speaking of diverse skill sets, let's head over to slide 5, bridging on-premises and cloud. Hybrid cloud knowledge.
Ah, the hybrid cloud.
Yeah, Vasil makes a good point that a lot of organizations aren't just jumping all in on the cloud right away.
It's a big step.
It is. They're dipping their toes in using a mix of on-premises and cloud infrastructure, what I call the hybrid approach.
Like testing the waters before taking the plunge.
Exactly. And in these hybrid environments, IT professionals with networking expertise, they're gold.
Really? Why is that?
Well, these hybrid setups can get complicated fast.
And that?
You got to connect different systems, make sure data is moving securely between the data center and the cloud, and manage all those workloads across different platforms.
Sounds like a lot of moving parts.
It is. But IT pros with strong networking backgrounds, they're like the bridge builders between these two worlds.
I like that, the bridge builders.
They can set up those secure VPN connections, use things like Azure ExpressRoute for dedicated private connections to the cloud, and design smooth integrations between all the different services. They're the ones making sure everything flows smoothly and performs at its best. Very impressive. Okay, so we've seen how IT pros excel in disaster recovery, monitoring, security, and hybrid cloud management. But gotta ask, what about the cost? Because the cloud can get expensive if you're not careful.
You're not wrong, but Vasil doesn't shy away from that. Slide 6, efficiency in the cloud. Cost management and optimization.
Glad they brought that up.
It's super important. Vasil highlights 4 key techniques here: resource allocation, reserved instances, auto-scaling, and cost optimization tools.
Okay, let's break those down. Resource allocation, what does that even mean in the cloud world?
It's all about using what you need and nothing more. No overspending. And IT pros, from managing on-premise infrastructure, they're already good at figuring out system requirements.
Right, they know what they need.
So they apply that knowledge to the cloud, right-sizing resources, and making sure there's no wasted money on stuff they don't actually use.
Like being a savvy shopper, only buying what you'll actually eat.
Exactly.
Okay.
Then there are reserved instances.
Oh yeah, I've heard of those.
Think of it like a season pass for your favorite theme park. You pay upfront for a guaranteed amount of cloud resources over a set period.
So discount for commitment.
You got it. And IT pros, they know their workload patterns and future needs, so they can use reserved instances strategically to save big time.
Smart move. Now what about auto-scaling?
Auto-scaling. It's like having a magical oven that expands or shrinks depending on how much you're cooking. You adjust your cloud resources on the fly based on demand.
Love that analogy. So like if there's a sudden spike in traffic to your website, auto-scaling spins up more servers to handle it.
Precisely. And when things calm down, it scales back down, so you're not paying for what you don't need.
Pretty amazing.
It is. And IT pros, they're the ones setting up and managing these auto-scaling policies. They use their knowledge of system performance and application behavior to fine-tune everything for maximum efficiency.
Like the conductors of a cloud orchestra, making sure everything's in harmony.
I like that. And finally, there are those cost optimization tools. Cloud providers like AWS, Azure, and GCP, they all offer these tools that help you analyze your spending, find areas to improve, and basically save money.
It's like a personal finance app for your cloud.
You got it. IT pros, with their deep understanding of cloud architecture and pricing models, they know how to use these tools to their full potential.
Makes sense. So we've covered a lot here. IT pros are really bringing it to the cloud, from disaster recovery to cost management. What else is on Vasil's list?
Well, in slide 7, we dive into enhancing cloud productivity. CI/CD integration. CI/CD stands for Continuous Integration, Continuous Delivery.
Heard of it.
And it's all about streamlining software development and deployment in the cloud.
Can you break that down a bit? What's actually happening with CI/CD?
Think of it like this perfectly oiled machine that automates the whole process of building, testing, and deploying code changes to the cloud. Developers constantly merge code into a shared repository, and then bam, automated builds and tests kick off.
Sounds efficient.
It is. If the changes pass all the tests, they can be automatically deployed to production, no human intervention needed.
So it's all about speed and reliability.
Exactly. CI/CD allows teams to release updates faster and more frequently without those manual steps slowing things down.
Game changer for dev teams for sure.
Totally. And you know who's instrumental in this? IT professionals with those DevOps skills.
Ah, DevOps. What kind of skills are we talking about?
They're familiar with a whole arsenal of DevOps tools like Jenkins, GitLab CI/CD, and Azure DevOps. These tools allow them to create these automated workflows for building, testing, and deploying code.
So it's not just about knowing the cloud, it's also about mastering these specific tools.
Exactly. They configure these tools to automate that whole software delivery pipeline, making sure releases are faster, smoother, and more reliable.
They're like the traffic controllers of the software development highway.
I like that.
Okay, so we got cost optimization, CI/CD integration, anything else Basil highlights?
We're not done yet. Slide 8 takes us to dynamic cloud growth, scalability knowledge.
Oh yeah, scalability. You hear that word everywhere these days.
And for good reason. The cloud is all about that ability to scale up or down as needed.
Like a magic box that expands or shrinks to fit what you need.
Perfect analogy. And IT pros, with their deep understanding of system architecture and network management, they're the perfect people to handle this.
In what way?
They can scale that infrastructure up or down, no problem, ensuring everything runs smoothly and efficiently.
Keeping those costs in check too.
Absolutely. They're also experts in load balancing, making sure traffic is distributed evenly across all those cloud resources to prevent bottlenecks and downtime.
So they're making sure the cloud can handle the rush hour traffic.
Exactly. And then, to wrap things up, we have slide 9, real-world case study. IT pro success in the cloud.
Always love a good case study. They really bring everything to life.
Right. So Basil presents 2 compelling cases. First, a successful cloud migration project that helped a big organization slash costs and boost reliability.
Sounds impressive.
It was. And the second case is a cloud-native app management project that helped a startup achieve super fast deployments and high uptime.
Great results.
What's really cool about these case studies is that they highlight all those diverse IT skills in action. Networking, security, system administration, DevOps, cloud architecture, it all came together to achieve these amazing outcomes.
It's not about having just one skill. It's about having a whole tool belt full of them and knowing how to use them all.
Exactly. And that's why IT pros are such rock stars in the cloud world.
This is fantastic. We've covered so much ground already, but there's still more to explore in Basil's IT knowledge bunker. Why don't we take a moment to let all this information sink in, and then we'll come back and continue our deep dive into this